So we thank you all for coming out for this momentous occasion. The record, the Slyme. If there's no Rubble you haven't played, on sale now at the front. And if you buy a copy, you can get a free original The Slyme poster of Era. Pretty cool. All right. Everybody give me a hand in welcoming the Slyme.
For God's sakes, we're the Slyme!
Yeah!
Beer in there? What do we do? What? Oh, Sister Mary. Hey.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start off tonight's festivities with a dissertation by the great Dr. No Moniker. He will give his dissertation on the one-chord punk rock song. Dr. No, if you please.
Drehen Sie sich über Herrn Beethoven und erzählen Sie Tchaikovsky die Neuigkeit. Diese Neuigkeit ist, dass Rock'n'Roll und in der Tat alle Musik auf eine einzelne Akkord reduziert werden können und dass es schnell zu Ende sein kann, um Schnaps und Bier zu ermöglichen. Einfach und auch wild gespielt, das ist die Natur des Ein-Akkord-Punk-Rock-Songs.
And for those of you who flunked first year German, I'll do the translation now. Roll over here, Beethoven, and tell Tchaikovsky the news. This news is that rock and roll, and indeed all music, can be reduced to a single chord, and that it can be over quickly. So it had lots of time for schnapps and beer. Simple yet played ferociously. This is the nature of the one-chord punk rock song. And now we present the guitars and bongo orchestra for your listening pleasure this evening. Now the band seems to be getting their instruments in order. There seems to be some problems with. I don't think they're sure of what they should do. Of course, the one over there in the corner, that's the violin guitar. That was invented by Stradivarius some 400 years ago, before amplifiers were invented. These are very seasoned musicians. You can tell they know what they're doing here. We will have, to direct this group this evening, we will have the Sister Mary, who has taken time out of her busy schedule at the truck stop, and she will conduct the proceedings. Of course, Sister Mary will enforce discipline where necessary, if you know what sisters are like. The thing is, the one-chord punk rock song is played with the D11 chord, which is done at the one finger at the 5th fret. Now this can be done best with the index finger, but more advanced players could try it with the thumb forwards, or backwards, or even the bird flip finger chord formation. Do we have a thumbs up? No? Very good. Okay, shall we give it a try? Everyone ready? One chord punk rock song, 6, 6, 6, 7. Who fucked it up? Somebody fucked it up.
We all did.
I did. I fucked it up.
I don't know. I think there's something going on here. I think this place is possessed. I've been coming to this record store for 50 years. I thought they only sold gospel music. But now I know. I have the proof. They sell the devil's music. Look, it's the devil's music. Via satellite directly into your brains. You seem to have some trouble playing the D11,
Questions and answers.
Mr. Groon?
It's a little bit more
But it's still only one chord.
So, how about
I am indeed a faith healer. I am indeed. You cannot play the D11 chord.
So, Q&A portion. Some burning questions, itching questions.
Well, I think it is that you are possessed. You are possessed, and you must exorcise the demons.
How did you guys get the band together?
Sister Mary.
I have the tool that God will give you to play the D11 chord. Are you afraid of anything, sir? Are you afraid of the devil? What are you afraid of? Sister Mary. Sister Mary. I don't think that's Sister Mary. I think Sister Mary is possessed. I think Sister Mary is the devil. Baby, baby, baby.
I have various opinions and
Here, take this,
like for instance,
my son,
mine was sort of at the stage
and clamp on. And
Still true to this day.
play the magnificent D11.
okay, so where were we? We were
I'll let Sister Mary. Down at the cemetery.
the trucker.
The idea seems simple enough for our
I'm sure you're not Sister Mary. I know you're the devil. I know you're the devil.
And it worked.
Show. You're the devil. Look, it is the devil. I knew it was the devil.
Then we went on from there, and Roscoe Santiago joined the band. By the way, there's a couple of people out here tonight, and that is Snotty Slyme, who is a Hammond's Flames, Nova Scotian.
I say,
Flames.
devils
Just
out.
got back home after
One chord punk rock
9
song in.
days,
1, 2, 3, 4.
But he wouldn't make it over here.
This is the one chord punk rock song. We know it's a shit fuck song.
Neutron, sorry.
Pasquali Neutron lives in Toronto, and he couldn't make it down either. And he was here on the first day. But we did that gig, and we were never going to do anything again. And then all of a sudden, friends and others asked us if we played for parties and that sort of thing. We did. Roscoe Santiago joins the crowd, and
Questions and answers.
He as one of the lead vocalist. But it's still only one chord, especially at prayer on
So, how about that?
Water Street called the Middle
Well,
Earth.
we
Dead
thank you all for
silence.
coming out
And
again.
also Memorial University, we played there
All right.
And
So-
without Memorial
Now we're in
and
the Q&A
Middle Earth,
portion.
I don't know if we would have had a
I've got
place
some
to
burning
play.
questions,
And then
some
without
itching questions for you guys
things
even.
like
And
the
I would
Newfoundland
like to
Heroes,
know,
which
off the
deserve
bat,
a real
for
thumbs
the
up
audience
because
who are
they
not
at least
aware,
reported on this. They said, we don't know
how
what
did this
this
all
is.
come about?
And actually, it's not very good, but you can get away with a lot if you got a good drummer. And so that put some attention to it, and you sort of just do it.
Yes, how did the band get together?
No?
Tell me about the Halloween party up in, most
Oh, yeah,
Halloween
yeah,
is
yeah.
where this idea came
Because
from.
one of the, I think it was the second or third gig, we were invited to play in the basement of a house, a bungalow on Carpathian Road, owned by the Smites. They shall forever go down in Slyme history. And we played in the basement right next to the furnace. Excellent acoustics. If you ever gotta play, go next to a furnace. What's that?
The genesis of the Slyme was the.
Here, you take it.
Okay, Peter was in Calgary doing the work.
Who?
So
Stig.
the guy with that funny picture on his shirt. I have various opinions and he sent a letter to us describing going to a Halloween party. And this is when punk was hot and stuff like that. This was.
Still true to this
Basically,
day.
he described himself as having gone to the Halloween party as Stig Stiletto of the punk band
Toulouse.
and the
So
song.
Toulouse and the song.
You wanna weigh in there.
I'll edit seminary. Down at the seminary.
So Wallace
the
received
trucker-
this.
The idea was, it
Sorry.
seems
And Kurt and I were up in the studio because
we tried it,
we
and
were
it
doing
worked, and we
improv,
did a gig, and
weird
you
improv
might have heard
music
about
for
the gig,
many
that it
decades.
was a
We've all
little
been doing
crazy.
that for 7 years.
But then
we were up in
we
the-
went down
at
from
Studio
there,
A,
and
and,
Roscoe Santiago joined the band.
Wallace,
By the way,
I was
there's
just
a
back
couple of
from
people
Toronto.
not here
Wallace
tonight,
told me
and
about
that
the letter.
is,
Sorry, Kurt told me about the
Scotty
letter.
Slyme,
And so we went down
and
town
was playing
because he
Snow
told us
Scotia, and his
that
house
Pasquali
just
and
flames
Stig
yesterday.
and
They just got back home after
9 days.
9
not sure what else
days
to say.
being
Told us we should
evacuated.
go down and we should say,
But he couldn't
let's
make
just
it
do
over
this.
here,
And we did.
obviously.
3 days later,
And,
we went
and,
up to the
Jerry
studio.
Kurt. No.
Actually, it was the next day.
Pasquali Neutron.
Sorry.
The thing that caused this to happen was because.
And Pasquali Neutron lives in Toronto, and he couldn't make it
No.
out either.
Those brothers at the studio, and because
We
had
did that
drum
gig,
kit, and New Carter
and
was keen to play
we
drums.
were never gonna do anything
That's why-
again.
yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
Anyway,
friends
does that answer your question?
and
No,
absolutely.
asked us if we
So, yeah, early
pay
on.
for parties and that sort of thing, and we did. Roscoe Santiago joins the crowd, and he as one of the lead vocalists, and we went on from there, and we recorded and played a bunch of gigs around town, especially at a bar on Water Street called the Middle Earth, and other bars, and also Memorial University. We played there all the time, and without Memorial and the Middle Earth, I don't know if we would have had a place to play. And then without things like the Newfoundland Heroes, which deserve a real thumbs up because they at least reported on this. They said, we don't know what this shit is. And actually, it's not very good, but you can get away with a lot if you got a good drummer. And so that put some attention to it, and you sort of just do it. Anyone else? No?
Should tell them about the Halloween party up in
Oh,
Calgary,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
where this idea came from.
One of
Original
the, I
genesis.
think it was the second or third gig, we were invited to play in the basement of a house, a bungalow on Carpathian Road, owned by the Smites. They shall forever go down in Slyme history. And we played in the basement right next to the furnace. Excellent acoustics. If you ever gotta play, go next to a furnace. What's that?
Yeah, the genesis of the Slyme was the.
Here, you take it.
Okay, Peter was in Calgary doing a work tour.
Who?
Him. Oh,
Stig.
The guy with that funny picture on his shirt. And he sent a letter to us describing going to a Halloween party, and this was when punk was hitting and stuff like that. So this was in
the fall of
Halloween
77.
'77, yeah. And basically, he described himself as having gone to the Halloween party as Stig Stiletto of the punk band Toulouse and the
Of
Slyme.
Toulouse and the Slyme,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Got it all wrong.
Hand it over to Moniker.
So Wallace received the letter.
Who?
Sorry. Kurt received the letter, and Kurt and I were up in the studio because we've been doing improv, weird improv noise music for many decades, and we'd already been doing that for several years. And we were up in Studio A, and Wallace, I was just back from Toronto. Wallace told me about the letter. Sorry, Kurt told me about the letter, and so we went downtown, and because he told us that Pasquali and Stig and I'm not sure who else was there, but told us we should go down and we said, let's just do this, and then we did. 3 days later, we went up to the studio and.
Well, actually, it was the next day we went to the studio. But the thing that caused this to happen was because we had Craig's brother, or whatever his name is, Noah's brothers at the studio, and because we had a drum kit and knew Carter was keen to play drums.
Pasquali.
Yeah.
Anyway, does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely.
The song from that first day was written in 15 minutes while we were setting up gear in the studio at Montreal. Goohaw Groon and Pasquali Neutron sat on the windowsill and wrote a song. And so we get set up and they say, here's the song, and we put a couple of chords, because more than two would have been a challenge, to it. And 15 minutes later, we said, you know, we might be actually able to do something with this. Turn on the tape recorder, and the very first song on the new album, the If There's No Rubble You Haven't Played, is that actual tone. It's the first song we ever recorded, wrote, whatnot, and it's right there. It opens up the album.
And the studio's important because it was there and it wasn't being used.
Right. And we were all members of Montreal, and we had free access to it.
Yeah, it was just empty the whole time. So.
Well, all right, so early on in your answers there, you raffled off a bunch of names, like the Ramones and Richard Hell and the Vovoids and et cetera, et cetera. So what were you guys' early influences? Were you influenced by much of that, or were your influences coming from somewhere else?
So our influences from the punk world were basically things to satirize.
Mm-hmm.
We were all, well, I mean, it's been said here already, we were kind of prog rock snobs. And the original idea was we were going to make fun with punk rock.
Yeah, it was easy.
Not all of us. Not all of us.
Stig was a big fan of the New York Dolls.
Oh, yeah, I
remember that.
love the Dolls,
And
right
we
there.
used to, and the Dolls and the Stooges and the Ramones were definitely on the rotation at One Radio at the time. So it was there in the air for sure. Those three in particular.
And
Bands
we
like
have
Mott the
them compared-
Hoople, right? I mean,
People have said that we were influenced by Captain Beefheart a lot more.
Beefheart,
Yeah.
More than one of us.
Roxy Music.
More than one of us in this room. The first real rock concert we ever saw in our lives was Captain Beefheart at the Thompson Student Center.
I've heard
In 1970
legendary stories about this gig.
1973. I was there. The very first. Peter was.
I was there.
Stig was there. Kurt was there.
I was there.
Roscoe was there.
And we didn't know each other at the time.
No, I was in grade 10.
Beefheart brought us together, I guess.
Psychologically.
Thank you, Captain.
And I definitely see some Zappa in your stuff as well. Your little demonstration here today, that skit was very Zappa-esque. We'll say.
No, Zappa would have kicked us out of his band because
We would have been sister music.
The theatrical element was important from the very beginning.
It was distracting from the music.
Right.
Because the music was so bad.
We were all over the map music, but we were listening to music, everything we could get our hands on, and Mon Radio, thank goodness for the place that was there. It gave us the opportunity to hear all these records that probably wouldn't have been accessible to us all.
Henry Cow.
Yeah, because only AM radio, we didn't have any access
You
to
weren't
anything
getting
else.
anything there. It was, and even if FM was there, you weren't going to get much off that.
Right, so
He said.
now I understand that there is a very strong Fred's connection to the Slyme. Would anybody care to elaborate on that?
Well, so the
Some
story,
are
yeah,
pressed.
the story about the album cover. So we had we had the albums pressed, and we didn't have enough money.
You should tell them, we did, I guess you all know, but in 1980, we had a double album pressed, which is a little bit ambitious for,
I think a
for
few
most,
people- I think
and
a few people
extremely
like that.
ambitious for us.
Hold up your original Slimes.
What one is that?
That's Trooper.
Trooper! Oh, Jesus Christ! We're here for a slime time, not a line.
Who got the Mr. Dress Up?
Oh, look, another one, look at that.
Yeah, look at that.
And another. Yeah.
Nice,
We could,
lovely.
John Edwards.
So the
Christ,
story on-
showed him the stencil. Showed him the stencil.
In
It's
a
right
minute, in a
there.
minute.
well, we have the stencil, yeah.
So-
So in 1980, if you think about it, like there's no computers and all that shit.
You had to send
Getting a
tapes to
record-
Toronto to get them pressed, and there was a minimum number that you could get pressed. The minimum number was 1,000. We had enough for two albums, two vinyl records, and so they agreed, thankfully, to print 500 of each, which was generous of them. But we didn't have enough money to pay for covers. So I don't know if the records were actually in town by that time, but they may
were.
have been.
Yeah.
They were in town, and we were in various bits of argument about how to put a cover on it. We were going to do it ourselves one way or another.
Well,
I think there was going to
we
be a
had
sheet of
a
paper or
design,
something like that.
I had an idea, but it
Yeah.
didn't work. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
so expensive.
No, it wasn't expensive, but it was. My
So
idea is the pamphlet was supposed to be a poster originally.
right.
And if you folded it right
Yeah.
way,
It would take
that's
two
right,
records.
it would,
It would cover
records.
two, yeah,
But
yeah.
the printers looked at us and went, in fact, he said, I'd like to help you out, but who let you in? Okay, I'm gonna do something else.
So, Dad was working at Fred's at the time, apparently. So,
That's what I understand.
at any rate, the way I recall,
We
it,
don't even understand the myth.
It was
Deadbeat and I were here in this store together at the
Okay,
same
that was
time.
the 80s, yeah, yeah.
That was
I was
when.
working there, yeah.
So we were here in the store at the same time, and there used to be the case that promotional record covers were sent around empty,
You
hundreds
see
of
them
them,
all on the wall
and
here.
they were plastered around the windows, and I or Dad, we don't exactly remember who, said to the other, let's use these empty record covers.
I think it was secondhand, 25 cent out.
Well, there was
The
some other-
story was that we had, the initial idea was from, I guess it must have been me, because I remember it that way. It was the empty record covers, and so all of the Barbra Streisand and
Chris
Chris Christopherson albums were originally had no vinyl in them. There weren't enough of them for our 500 albums though, so we needed more. And Fred's had a big stack of secondhand records that they couldn't sell, so they sold them to us for 50 cents a piece. And we took them home. We took them home and threw the vinyl in a big pile
That
on the
drained,
floor.
by the way, the Slime's bank account.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
That was the last of the album
I think
budget.
it was Goohaw who thought up the idea of the stencil. Was it you who thought up the idea of the stencil?
No, I'd love to take
No?
credit for that, but it wasn't me.
Anyway,
No, it wasn't
we
me who
had
came up
the,
with the stencil. I thought it was a lousy idea.
so anyway, the idea was to take a stencil in order to deface the record covers and make them ours.
And we couldn't spray paint because
So
anybody
this is the original
The
stencil.
original stencil.
A piece of
And,
punk rock history.
we used car primer. Originally it was red. And
First it was gray, and
First
then
it
we
was
couldn't
gray,
get gray, and
and we couldn't get the gray, so we got red. So the gray ones are part of the first batch.
Yeah.
These ones are the first batch.
So that's
And then-
the real valuable.
And we ran out of gray, so we got some red car primer, and the rest of them were gray. And we still didn't have enough covers for all of them, so there are still actually pairs of vinyl records with no cover.
In the brown paper
In
bag.
the brown paper bag.
Yeah, some were in
Exactly.
paper bag.
Was that because you guys getting sick from the spray paint, so you couldn't?
Well, there was that too. It was
spray paint.
it was Kurt and I thought you two did it anyway.
No, I didn't.
Okay, all right.
It
So
was
anyway,
high from the spray.
that's how that happened.
I don't think my
the covers came
parents
from
knew
Fred's.
what was going on.
The covers came from Fred's. You heard it here first, folks. I've seen the legends online have said either it came from Salvation Army or certain nefarious members of the band stole them. So
No, they all came from
Fred's.
So I think they're hear that all up.
We actually, there was some of those records were religious records, gospel records and stuff like that. We bought them for, I think it was 50 cents each. We bought 80 of them, I think.
Yeah.
And then because we bought the 80, they gave us all the promotional covers that they could spare. And that's how we got the covers.
Okay.
So we actually
Well,
bought records.
We asked for the promote. Well, I don't.
Mine is
It's-
Sister Ida Maxey sings songs of faith, hope, and inspiration.
Not Sister Mary.
No.
Interesting. All right. Well.
I came later.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I was on the album.
Speaking of some of the tracks on it, so you mentioned that you were interested in satire. You were very interested in satirizing punk rock as a genre, but a lot of the specific tracks on the original album and stuff on the compilation just released as well, including the Tricky Dick interludes, which I find quite tickling. But songs like Right Wing Power and Theresa May for Possum Queen, etc., etc. There's quite a strong
It was
political
Margaret Thatcher,
satire.
actually.
Margaret Thatcher, that's right.
That would
Theresa
be-
May
that would be
killed
Theresa May.
the economy. Margaret Thatcher killed everyone else.
So yeah, you guys had a strong political satire to you as well, and a lot of that stuff has aged interestingly, we'll say. Look at the current age, and I'll just leave it at that. What do you guys make of that? How did you expect your political messaging to still be relevant in 2023?
Don't hand it to me. I'm the
So
wrong guy
we
to
did
ask.
have an original song called Trudeau Sucks.
Yes, that as well.
Yeah, which your band doesn't have in town, with the new Trudeau.
And Kill Frank Morris.
Yeah, Frank Morris.
Well, we didn't have
Sorry,
really
you
political
know,
philosophy.
Just imagine now if you did a song on stage inciting kill the premier. You wouldn't be
You couldn't do it
the
these
chorus
Would be shot on
before
his
you'd be in leg
Sunday.
irons.
But a lot of that is that was our, at the time when we did like Kill Frank Morris, we just sort of looked and said, well, first of all, no one is listening to us. And secondly, anyone who isn't taking us seriously, so we really got nothing to worry about.
We did make sure it was public domain, that nobody took credit for it.
Oh, yeah, well, if you look at, on the record itself, the credit is public domain. But, I mean, the thing is that there was no expectation that anyone would pay much attention to any of this stuff.
Oh,
And
That's
certainly
really interesting.
never take it seriously.
And they didn't.
And they didn't.
Well, that segues quite nicely into my last question here, which is, how do you guys make of all of this? What do you guys make of the Slyme in the Punk Rock Museum in Las Vegas? What do you guys make of the lead singer of the Dead Kennedys shouting you out, and your records being bought at premium prices by collectors in Italy and Spain?
I have a story about Jello Biafra.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1999, when we were putting out our CD, we didn't have money again, of course. But
If only you'd held on to a couple of those records.
the early days of the internet, really, and I received an email from somebody I did not know who they were, saying, "I'm emailing you on behalf of Jello Biafra, who would like to have a Slyme album." And I didn't believe them at first, so I kind of traded a few emails and chatted it back and forth, and I was convinced, yes, in fact, this was someone on behalf of Jello Biafra asking us for a Slyme album. So we sent Jello Biafra a Slyme album and a CD, and he wrote us back a handwritten letter saying, thank you very much for this lovely album, and we still have the letter.
You still have the letter. You didn't give that to the Punk Rock Museum.
No, we did not.
But it's absolutely improbable, right? I mean, we always use the word bemused, right? Because this was never intended to be. This was never intended to be anything more than you know, immediate.
A joke.
With, yeah, a little bit of a joke, or a lot of a joke, and with all the lasting texture of ephemera. I mean, it's today's newspaper gone tomorrow.
The joke was on us.
The joke was on us. Had we sought this, we would never have gotten this. I really do believe that. And it's everything it happens ass backwards. You know, that whole spray painting the albums. People say, well, Jesus, that's the most punk thing you could ever do. But who knew? That's all we could do. We didn't have anything more to do.
But we also fought over that. Some people were dead against it. I think you were dead against it.
Well, I was dead against it.
You know, like as you said, when we were listening to the tapes to make this new record, that basically it was the greatest marketing thing we could ever have put together, and we did it, and it didn't happen by intention. It just
It just happened.
It just happened, and people have for whatever reason seized on that. Right?
But of course it
People
didn't
are here
say-
showing off their covers. People are here like getting their record sprayed with the old stencil or whatever. Right?
But it didn't
So-
sell the records at the time.
It didn't. We had them on sale here for $6.66, and we might have sold 100.
It was
If that.
$6 plus 11%.
Plus
Yeah.
11% tax.
Yeah.
But they didn't actually sell. They didn't actually sell.
Yeah, we
We
had
might have
we had to
sold
play to pay
gigs.
off the
We had to
pressing.
play
Yeah.
gigs to pay all.
There's another story. We had to play gigs to pay off the money that we had put into the pot to make this happen. So here's my story. The Slyme saved my life.
Well, yeah, tell them the story. Tell them this is a good story. This is
So
this is true.
the clip that is on that was released on Instagram by Fred's is a clip of a show that we did at the
Thompson
Thompson
Center
Center Calf.
Thompson Center.
81.
Yeah, must have been. So
It was the year the Ranger went down, so
it was I was working on the Ocean Ranger,
or the year after.
and I traded shifts with my opposite so that I could play that gig. And
Wow.
he's dead.
Wow. Punk rock saved
So
your life.
literally, the
And
Slyme
killed,
saved my life.
killed somebody else.
Poor sister.
It's not a story that I've been and that's the odd thing about the Slyme. We're
Two pieces
like
of Newfoundland
brothers.
history colliding right there.
It is. We're like brothers because we somehow slipped into this thing called the Slyme, and it's been a blast. And we get together semi-regularly. Tony lives in Roscoe lives in Herring Neck, and the rest of us are here in town, and we've got a couple of people away. We get together, and when we sit around, we talk about the books and the articles and the news stories and the pictures and all this stuff about what we did back then. And it's like, how the hell does this stuff happen? And so last year, we were approached by the soon-to-be developed Punk Rock Museum in Las Vegas, and as you say, we were asked if we could provide some materials to be exhibited there. And we talked about it, and we said, yeah, we'll do that, sure, why not? Okay, so it's another kismet thing with the Slyme. Kurt Sic-o-Via had been approached by someone from a record company called Celluloid Lunch,
Yeah,
plays in bands. And
2
has
years
played
ago
here.
at Lanya Vanya, I think it
Yeah,
was.
and he was interested in us doing a re-release of our original album, and we said, no.
We've always said
That was off the charts because people had bought that, they'd invested in it, and that just didn't seem right. But we did say we have another proposal.
Plus, there's a lot of crap on that.
So we went into the studio, into Vicky Beat Studios, which Kurt Sic-o-Via operates, and we went through the old tapes, and there were hours and hours of tapes, video, audio, you name it. And
So
we-
perhaps in 20 years' time, we'll get another shameless cash grab.
Well, all I know is this, that we came up with a proposal for Celluloid Lunch of another double album.
We only played 30 times ever, really, about 30 times. But we had recordings of at least 10 shows. Sometimes with mics in the ceiling. Anybody who's heard our album already knows that the quality is like bootleg quality. So it was mics in the ceiling sometimes, maybe a cassette recording off the board, a reel-to-reel recording here, a video camera recording. We actually have video footage of how many shows? 3 or 4?
Oh, a lot more than that.
More than that, yeah, okay. So, considering that's the pre-cell phone time, like, we're sort of lucky to have that video document.
So anyway, we spent a lot of time going through the old tapes and stuff. We made a proposal to them. They came back and said, look, we're prepared to do a single vinyl. And the owner of the label is a guy by the name of Joe Chimandi, a lovely young fellow. I've never met him, but we've talked a lot on email, and we with their help and with our work, we produced this new album called If There's No Rubble, You Haven't Played. And it starts at the beginning, the 1977, December 23rd, that first song, and it takes you up to 1989. Probably one of the best shows we ever did was at the Cornerstone, and none of us stripped.
And we do have posters
Thank
from
God.
that show up at the front as well, just to point that out.
It was basically a music bar at the time, and we played upstairs. We blocked the place. It was a Christmas show, December 27th, 1989, and we had video of it. We got a 2-camera video of that. We'll do something with that, down the road, but it was a blasting show, and as you move through the album, you'll hear from the beginning right to that 1989 end, and you'll see how we evolved from basically trying to figure it out to, I think, reasonably polished, but still the Slyme at the end. And that's why we're here today.
Excellent answer, and what a legacy to leave behind. So we've got a bit more time, and we'll field maybe 2 or 3 questions from the audience. But before we do, Fred's Records would like to present the Slyme with an award. So Tony Plowman, if you would.
Hi folks. We all know how the industry works. There's the platinum records, gold records, but we have the most coveted record of all here today for the boys in the Slyme. Here we go. Coveted porcelain records. The honor is mine. The honor is mine.
Wow.
Thank you.
So, I've been told that the Porcelain Record certifies that all copies of If There's No Rubble You Haven't Played have gone down the loo. Except for those still available at Fred's Records. We've got lots left for you, so make your way up to the front cache and check them out. All right, so, any questions from the lovely folks?
If no one wants to go, then I'll gladly. First question, I don't know if any of ye are, how old ye would have been in 77, but were any of ye influenced by one of the first ones to come through to Mont Thompson Center and play, and we finally have the video, the photos and the posters to prove it, when Alice Cooper came here in 71 and done antics that nobody thought would be allowed on stage.
That's right. Yeah,
And that was, in case anyone doesn't know, now I'm not that old, but I've done research. And I was one of the people that have been looking for years of proof of this. And finally a friend of mine got the
He
proof.
didn't play in the Thompson Center, he played in the old gym.
In the old gym.
At Mont. And What's that? No, it was in the gym. In the
athletics.
phys ed.
Phys ed.
Phys ed,
It
yeah.
was
Okay, thank
several
you.
months before Love It to Death came out. And
fact,
so he was just this band.
I've seen
Alice
pictures.
knows. I'm sorry,
Doug
Kurt
Ronald
knows.
has photos. Yeah, we do.
Yeah, what was I gonna say?
Cooper.
Alice
Alice
Cooper.
Alice
Alice
Cooper.
Cooper.
I'm getting old, I'm like,
Must have been there.
no, I was gonna say, trying to get the mic. Somebody else talk. If I remember.
Anyway, it was several months before Love It to Death came out. And that album made Alice Cooper, it broke Alice Cooper
Right.
as a big time act. And so, I mean, what he was doing and the band happened here long before he became a big star.
Well, yeah,
That was
apparently
important.
what I was gonna say is apparently what happened
I know
is
it, I know
they
it.
had booked Alice Cooper to play here just before 18 broke. And 18 broke, and apparently Alice Cooper, even though they could have made more money playing elsewhere, on the strength of the
He
number one
did the
hit or
gig,
whatever it
right?
was, they played for the agreed price of, I think it was $1,500.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm
Wow.
telling you.
Yeah, well,
Mac
he's
Furlong,
a
I think,
guy.
told me that he was one.
But did it influence us? I don't think so.
But Alice Cooper did, because we were all listening to Alice Cooper in high school and so on and so forth, definitely, yeah.
I can
And who
tell you
can-
right now.
Who can deny 18 is not?
High School for Me, Love It to Death was an important album. So did it influence us? It might influence me. I never thought about it in those terms, but that was a big album.
I'm
for
sure
me.
it
It still
did.
is.
It
Great record.
influences as much as Stacy's Country Jamboree.
We love that show.
I was gonna point out, by the way, when we got the Porcelain Award there, that we often played with a toilet, a full toilet, used
On
toilet.
stage.
Yes.
On stage. In fact,
Please elaborate.
In fact, a guy came up to us one night, came up to somebody in the band and said, "You guys are the best band in the world that plays on stage with a toilet."
So we were talking a little while ago about the exhibit in Las Vegas at the Museum of Punk Rock. So when we were figuring out what stuff to send them, we offered them the toilet. But they didn't want to pay to ship the toilet. So St. John's, Newfoundland to Las Vegas. But it would have been so funny to be able to say that we shipped the toilet to Vegas.
As it was, we shipped the guitar with a dildo on it.
This is true. The guitar was called the phallic unit. And it's something that Kurt Sic-o-Via had rigged up. He took all the electric guts out of a guitar and put flash cubes in it, and he cut the headstock off the guitar and attached the dildo.
Which
And
had a
so-
light in it.
and a light, so while we were playing, it was usually Snotty Slyme, who's not here tonight, one of our lead vocalists, who would pretend to play this up in front of the crowd and flash cubes in the eyes of the punters who were right in front, just to confuse them more than they already were.
And there's a great shot of that on our and there's a great shot of that on our website actually with Snotty and Kurt.
On the floor.
But the other thing about the phallic unit was these flash bulbs. They were actually burning magnesium filament or something. They got hot. So I can remember using the phallic unit one time, and so the way you used it, you turned a knob to select one of the bulbs, then you hit a toggle switch to burn the bulb. And me being the idiot I am, I just flipped the switch and cranked the knob. All the bulbs went off. That was rather hot.
The guitars were easier to play than the phallic unit.
All right, I know everybody is eager to get their copies signed by the band. Perhaps the only opportunity to do so.
Could I end with one
Yeah,
thing?
absolutely.
Just on behalf of the lads, right, and unless someone else wants something to say, I just want to say thank you for coming out. Thanks for your interest. It's still puzzling. But this has been a blast for us. And thank you for being here. And thanks to Frank for allowing us to come down and play.
Thank you, everybody. If there's no Rubble you haven't played, available now at Fred's Records.
And there's the Rubble.
And there's the Rubble.